Mac and cheese has its roots in the 13th century in Italy, when there was a recipe in a book called the Book of Cooking, because back in the 13th century you didn't have to be very creative to get anything done, and it was lasagna sheets, not macaroni, and Parmesan cheese, and then that recipe spread from Italy all the way to England, and it hit there by the 14th century, and then there was another book of cooking created because King Richard II liked the dish so much, and it was called macarons, and it was the same thing as 100 years ago, but they put butter in it because we're making really big leaps and bounds over here. Cheese doesn't last very long, so poor people couldn't really have it. And then the recipe got brought over from England to the Americas. It was still for rich people though. And then Thomas Jefferson, he went to France with one of his chefs, James Hemings. And he took James with him to France so that James could learn how to cook from French people, because they're really good at that apparently. And then James comes back and he creates macaroni pie, which is closer to our form of macaroni and cheese. And then Thomas Jefferson comes to him and he's like, you know what, man? You can be freed if you train your brother in your place. And so he did. So now we have Peter Hemings working in Thomas Jefferson's kitchen, and he serves macaroni pie at a state dinner, and then it blows up and everyone's like, wow, this is incredible. And so then that's when it really gets popular in the Americas. Walter Gerber and Fritz Settler in 1913, they created processed cheese by mixing sodium phosphate and mixing so get this, in 1913, Walter Gerber and Fritz Stettler, what names, mixed cheese with sodium citrate to get an emulsified mixture, and that was processed cheese, and so it lasted longer and it was great and it was orange. And then James L. Kraft, 3 years later, mixed cheese with sodium phosphate, and he patented it, and then he created the Kraft Company for processed cheese. And then he spent a couple of years trying to figure out how to dehydrate and create a cheese powder, and he did, and he figured that out. And so by the time the Great Depression rolled around, he was able to create macaroni and cheese in a box, and he was able to sell that thing for 19 cents a box. I can't get in anything for 19 cents a box. Or you could get 2 boxes for 1 food ration ticket. And the marketing was that you could make a box of mac and cheese to feed 4 people in under 9 minutes. This would not feed 4 people. I don't know who is eating that, and it's satiated. And so essentially it's because of the Great Depression. James Hemings and his brother, not Thomas Jefferson. But yeah, thank you, Great Depression. I don't remember it being this neon ever. What happened? Everybody say thank you, chef. I can taste the tap water.